Okay, so starting off, I got a farmer. And here I got deer. And here I got cursed scroll, I think. On this one, I got snake. And this one, I got wings. I guess technically I got two on that last one, but I didn't know which one to go with or if I should go with both, so I just went with wings. Anyway, here I'm just doing some sketches just to kind of see where I was gonna go with this. Also I did short stories. I did type up a couple of short stories for the characters that I would be making today. They're nothing too exciting, don't expect too much. I just typed up a couple of random short stories to go with the characters. They will be read to you with an AI. And now that I have an idea of what I'm going to do with this character, let's get started.
I want to tell you a story. Our story starts out with a young half-human, half-deer hybrid, and her name was Lily. She lived happily with her family on a farm. As Lily got older, she, like her family, worked on the farm. However, happiness didn't last long as the ruler of the kingdom sent soldiers out to start collecting rations throughout the lands, and those who couldn't meet the required amount would meet a tragic end. A land that was once happy and beautiful became dark and cold. Families began starving as they no longer had enough food with how much the king demanded, and he demanded more and more with every season that passed. One day, Lily was out in the fields tending to the little food they had when she saw soldiers at her home. The family unfortunately did not have the required amount this time. Lily ran home, but by the time she got there, her once peaceful home was burning to the ground, and her family was nowhere to be found. She called out for her family for hours, even after the house had turned to ashes. With her family and her home gone, she had nowhere to turn. She heard a cry in the distance, the howl of wolves. As she looked into the darkness, she could see the shadow-like creatures with glowing red eyes staring back at her. With no other options, she turned and ran through the forest. As she ran with each turn she made, through the trees they would sometimes appear in front of her, sending her in a new direction, until she could no longer run, and she fell to the ground, eyes closed tight, fearing the worst. But nothing happened. When she looked up, she saw a cabin, and the wolves faded back into the darkness, almost as if they were guiding her here. When she went inside, she could tell by the dust and cobwebs that this place has been long abandoned. She saw a glow in the darkness, a scroll laying on the desk. As she read the text on the scroll, a snake with wings appeared before her, wrapping itself around her. It was to be her familiar. The scroll rose in front of her, and she could feel the power it gave her, and a smile creeped across her face. She knew this cursed power, for whatever reason, had chosen her, and she vowed to get her revenge and burn the entire kingdom to the ground.
Alright, so on this one I got a marionette. And on this one I got magician outfit. This one I got tied hair. Here I technically got two, and I do decide to do both. And on this one I got the stained gloves. This one I got cold colors. And that's it. Let's get started.
I want to tell you a story. Our story unfolds with a man named Eli. He lived quietly in a small village, with a soft gaze and a smile he took each day as it was given, but behind that gaze he wanted more, more to each day, more than this life, more than what he had. Eli worked for the kingdom as a trusted sorcerer alongside many other powerful sorcerers. The king, with all the power in the world at his side, was a monster in nature. He called upon them for the most heartless of tasks, destroying families for simple mistakes with the cries of the people before him. Eli, with each day that passed, grew colder and distant. One day, when the king ordered the elimination of one of the villages, the place set ablaze. Eli froze. hearing the cry of a small child amongst the fire and debris. When he met her eyes through them, he saw her life, her happy family, her neighbors, and her cherished friends. And he saw himself through her eyes and felt terror in her eyes. He was a monster that destroyed her entire world. In broken terror, he looked around, seeing the destruction he and the others had brought to the land under the orders of the ruthless king, and something inside him snapped. Turning on his master and those who followed him, he fought back using all his strength. He sent all the surviving villagers somewhere safe, and through the fire he stood before his master. The king ordered the others to capture and punish Eli for going against his orders. As he fought against them in the fight, he lost his right arm. He was chained and dragged before the king. At the king's feet, Eli could feel his end drawing near. He had given almost everything he had, as the haunting memories of things he had done under order swept through his mind, and he wouldn't let this fate continue. A dark power surged around him, and he stood up before the king. He released all his magic at once with all the emotions he had once buried. Eli's magic, creating a storm around them, shattered the souls of all enemies who stood before him, ending the king's reign. The magic went forth, restoring the village and bringing the survivors home. The sun shone bright as peace was returned to the land, and the small child walked into the center of the village, where Eli had fallen. Where he once lay, she found a broken doll, a marionette puppet with chains instead of string. A glow surrounded the child, and she knew that he was gone, but his soul remained inside that broken doll. The girl broke the wooden controls, releasing the chains. Eli was finally free. His spirit appeared before the child, and as all the people watched, he imbued his magic into the doll that would become like a guardian and protect those who are broken and feel alone, to keep safe the peace and free those who are controlled by the dark, controlled by monsters just as he was. For the first time in his life, he smiled, genuinely smiled. The people watched as Eli faded away, and the girl hugged the doll and ran to her family, who were saved because of Eli's sacrifice. Peace was finally restored.
And that is it for today's video. This was a lot of fun, so thank you to Mochilovecraft for posting these challenges. It was it was a lot of fun. It really was. I really enjoyed making these characters. As I said, I made really short and simple stories for these characters, but hope it was still at least a little entertaining for you. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Until next time.